Hello beautiful people, today is 25th of August. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. But before going into the newspaper, let's have a look on today's GS folder. So today we'll take a quote from the James E. Faust, who is an American statesman. He says, honesty is more than not lying. It is truth telling, truth speaking, truth living and truth loving. So guys, honesty is not a passive exercise where you just refrain from the falseness. It is also a kind of an active stakeholding to keep the spirit of the truth alive. Guys, into our GS paper number 4, in GS paper number 4 ethics, the qualities of civil servants have been given as a topic. So there, when the quality of honesty is asked, please try to use the quote from the James E. Faust. So that's it, and now let's take the newspaper analysis. Now friends, first of all, let's take the overview of the entire newspaper first. Now guys, here we can see that much important news onto the page number 1 has not been given. Now guys, here we had earlier followed the entire contempt of court issue which was going on. So now the Prashant Bhushan had said that he will not be giving an apology for the tweet which he has done, however not important for our exam. Then guys, into the city page, only the regional news has been mentioned and not important for our exam. Then guys, here we can see that the Google violation with respect to the data privacy has been mentioned. So in that particular direction with respect to prelim as well as mains, some important concepts will be seeing here. Then guys, moving forward, the similar regional news are there, not important. Now onto the editorial page. This editorial talks about the need of a fiscal council, a good article with respect to the GS paper number 3. Then guys, this article talks that Pakistan might be harboring the fugitives such as the Dawood Ibrahim, LET fugitives might be there living, and Pakistan should come clean. However guys, with respect to the exam, much of content is not given. Then guys, this particular article talks about the health reform agenda which is needed. So a good dimension will be seeing as how India is over relied onto the insurance segment and why this thing should change. Then guys, this article talks as how the 6 parties in Jammu and Kashmir, they are coming against the BJP. Guys, not important, politically inclined article. Then guys, this article talks about how the catching of taxpayers is necessary to improve the fiscal health of our nation. Then this article talks about the Palestine issue. Then guys, this article talks about the cinema. Guys, exam relevant article has not been, news has not been given. Then guys, moving forward, so we can see here that DNA bill has been mentioned, and with respect to this, the report of the parliamentary standing committee has been given. So in this respect, we'll see the issues which are involved. Then guys, here the Bonda tribe has been mentioned. So with respect to the prelims, we'll see some important concepts. Then guys, again the DNA bill has been mentioned about. Then moving forward, showcase page, not important for our exam. Then onto the world's page, the news such as the infection cases and all such kind of thing has been given. Then guys, here onto the business page, it has been said by the CRISIL that into the rural areas there will be no demand, due to which the economic slowdown will continue. However guys, as the data has not been given any government agency such as RBI, so just for one liner concept you can quote it as a reference. Then onto the sports page, nothing relevant news has been given. So that's it, and now let's take the newspaper analysis. Now taking up the first news. So first news pertains to the Google Pay violations on which Delhi High Court has sent a notice to the RBI, Google and government. Now guys, into the GS paper number 3, topics of the cyber security, data privacy, data infringement, etc. has been mentioned, and there such a thing could be utilized. Now before going into the news, I will give you some background. See guys, into the India, Google Pay is a third party app which involves into the financial settlements. Now before going further, first of all, what are the third party apps, as with respect to prelims such a question could be asked. Now guys, there could be the different meanings of the third party app. For example, number 1, see, you have the Google Play Store, you have Apple App Store. Now onto these platforms, there are the apps which are made respectively by the Google as well as Apple, but there are some other apps also which are being provided by some other developer. So those other apps will be called as the third party apps, number 1. After that, see, the applications which you download from some independent websites or from some other kind of unofficial app store, those apps are also called as the third party apps. And the third is the apps which are connecting with some other service and providing you a better experience, those are also called as a third party app. Now this third dimension I will explain you further by the help of an example. Just give me 1 minute. Now guys, if we talk about India, then in India the retail payments are settled by the NPCI, that is the National Payment Corporation of India. Now NPCI is a kind of a not-for-profit organization formed under the Companies Act 2013. Now NPCI has made a platform, that is the UPI, Unified Payment Interface. Onto this UPI platform, NPCI has also made an app, that is the Bhim, for transferring the money. This is one thing. Now at the same time, NPCI has also kept the UPI platform open. They say that other companies, other partners can also come, can utilize this UPI platform and can make their own application. Now what has happened? The Google Pay, they has made their application onto the UPI platform. So basically what is Google Pay? Google Pay is a third party app which is providing the service for the money transfer by using the platform of some other developer, that is the NPCI. Now in India, according to the NPCI's website, there are nearly 20 third party apps. For example, there is Phone Pay, there is Google Pay, there is Amazon Pay. So all they are settling the payments in India. Even the WhatsApp has also been introduced as a latest third party app into this particular direction. So that's it. Now guys, what happens? These third party app, they also need to have in the backend a PSP bank, that is the payment service provider. Now if we talk about Google Pay also have such 4 PSP banks, that is the Axis, HDFC, ICICI and SBI banks. Now this is the entire scenario, third party apps and all these kind of things. Now coming to the present news. Now guys, according to the UPI procedural guidelines of 2019, all the third party apps, they can settle the financial transactions, but they cannot store the sensitive information of the users. Such sensitive information can only be stored by the PSP banks. Okay. Secondly, they can't share that information with other developers. For example, Google cannot share all, Google Pay cannot share all this information with the parent company, that is Google. Moreover, there is one more provision. See, in 2018, the Reserve Bank of India came with the data localization law. According to these data localization law, it was said that all the entities which are storing the financial information of the citizens, their server needs to be physically stored into India only. A deadline was given. However, after that particular thing, a new committee came, that was the BN Shri Krishna committee. It also talked about the data localization, and finally on to the recommendations of BN Shri Krishna, Personal Data Privacy Bill 2019 was formed, and it also talked about the data localization. Now guys, what happened into the case of Google? Google is, first of all, it has been said that it is storing the data, which was not allowed. Secondly, it has also been said that it might also be sharing the data with the parent company. And thirdly, it has also been said that their servers are also located outside India. So all these violations have been made by Google, and therefore in this particular direction, Delhi High Court had sent the notice to the RBI, to the central government, as well as has also asked the Google to refrain from all these kind of activities. Now guys, this is an excellent example that how big corporates, just knowingly or by using certain loopholes, they are harvesting all the digital information of the citizens, and still there is no robust supervision or scrutiny on this particular trend, and into the times to come it can have grave security implications. So guys, into GS paper number 3, a prospective question in this line can be asked. So that's it. Now we'll move to the next news. Now guys, this particular article talks about the need of a fiscal council in India. Now guys, before going that particular thing, certain background. You know that right now we are facing a pandemic and the financial conditions have been suffered. First of all, if we talk about the this year, then it has been said that the fiscal deficit could reach up to 7%. 3.5% of the GDP was a target, but it is going to be doubled. Moreover, if we talk about the combined fiscal deficit of the both center and state, it will be around 12% of GDP, and at the same time the combined debt will also reach up to 85% of GDP. So therefore, it is a time that the fiscal consolidation needs to be carried. It means government needs to control their expenditure. Now guys, not only expenditure needs to be controlled, rather a fiscal discipline in government also needs to be instilled. What do we mean by this fiscal discipline? See, often FRBM Act, that is the Fiscal Responsibility Budget Management Act, had provided targets to the government that they had to fulfill with respect to fiscal deficit, but they always overshoot that target. Moreover guys, government has often used financial engineering to show lower level of fiscal deficits. I will give you one example. Recently what happened? Government asked the FCI that what you do, you raise money from the National Small Saving Fund. Why? Because the food subsidy bill was to be paid. Now if government would have given money for the fiscal food subsidy bill, obviously that thing would have been reflected into the fiscal deficit. So therefore what government did? Government ordered the FCI that you borrow money, and FCI borrowing the money, that particular thing will not be having the impact onto the central government's fiscal deficit balance sheet. So this particular thing was done. After that what happens? For making the irrigation project, government utilized the NABARD's money. So NABARD has the long-term irrigation fund. So that particular money was used by the central government. Third guys, what happened? Government wanted money. For that particular thing, government wanted to sell the IDBI bank as well as the Rural Electrification Corporation. Now, as the buyers for that particular thing, they didn't came through onto the government's expectation and onto the government's framework. What happened? These two corporations were transferred to the LIC. From LIC the money was taken and it was shown as the disinvestment. But actually disinvestment will be then when the state's ownership will be lost. However, LIC is also a state company, state owned entity. How this could be treated as an disinvestment, but still it was treated as disinvestment, so that money will come, fiscal deficit get reduced. Now all these kind of things shows a fiscal indiscipline onto the part of government. So therefore, to solve this fiscal indiscipline as well as to bring the fiscal prudence, FRBM Review Committee as well as 14th Finance Commission recommended that we should make a fiscal council. Now, this fiscal council, it has been said by particularly 14th Finance Commission, needs to be an independent body. It should be appointed by the parliament, it should report to the parliament, and into the FRBM Act a new section should also be created. What will be the role? It will scrutinize all the government expenditure, it will scrutinize all the government fiscal actions, and will tell the parliament that what government is doing. Now, this particular thing will bring a large number of benefits. First of all, what will happen? As these reports will be provided and as a fiscal council will be an unbiased agency, such reports will give the fodder to the parliament, and on that basis the level of debate into the parliament can increase with respect to the government's fiscal responsibility. Secondly, as constant supervision onto the expenditure will be made, the costing of the projects will come down, fiscal prudence will come. Then transparency and accountability will come if all the government's expenditure will be scrutinized. Then guys, what will happen? It has been said that the Finance Commission had said that such fiscal council will act as a conscience keeper for the rule-based process. Government, whatever money they are having, it is coming from the public. and certain norms are to be followed. Now those norms will be more stringently, they will be followed. And finally, public will also get to know with respect to the government's fiscal intelligence, and they can take the meaningful decisions as next time whether such government should be elected or not. So all such kind of benefits will be coming if we adopt the fiscal council. Now guys, IMF, according to an IMF survey of 2014, 36 countries till then have already adopted the fiscal council. Moreover, by a 2000 study committed by IMF, that the name of the study was the function and impact of fiscal council, the IMF had said that this body had brought immense benefits. For example, it substantially increases the public awareness and brings the transparency into the governance, which actually is the motto of the good governance. Moreover, it has also been said that 3 success stories are there: Belgium, Chile and UK, where such fiscal council has brought immense benefits. For example, in Belgium, because of such fiscal council, now they are adopting better macroeconomic forecast, that is into the coming times what will be the actual growth of GDP, what will be the actual receipts of money from the tax. Why? Because see guys, what happens, usually government deliberately give inflated targets so that people feel happy, and on that basis the planning is also done, but at the end of the day never such targets are met, and therefore all the planning goes down. Now in Belgium, when such committee had come, realistic targets are being made, and onto that basis realistic planning can also be conducted. Secondly, the same thing is happening with the Chile also. They also got independent body and better forecasting can be made with respect to the GDP, etc. And in UK, the office of budget responsibility has been made, and because of this particular thing, the budgetary responsibility, how the money is being spent, where the money is being spent, those things are held, they are being coming under the accountability. So how all this thing is possible? Because of the establishment of the fiscal council, they brought these reforms. So in India also there is a high time that we should bring about such kind of thing. So guys, that's all about this particular thing. Give it as a suggestion into the fiscal policy of the government. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now friends, this article talks about the need of certain institutional fixes into the health setup of our country. Now, into the present pandemic, we had seen that the 2 countries which have the largest number of the cases, most number of cases, they are the US as well as India. And both of the countries, they don't have universal health care. Universal health care means that everybody should be given 3 A's of health. What are these 3 A's? Availability of the health, affordability of the health and accessibility of the health. In India as well as USA, such universal healthcare is not available. Why? Because historically we had never relied on them. We have followed some other kind of strategy. For example, if we talk about USA has over relied onto the insurance sector. Even they have US Affordable Care Act, under which the insurance companies have been given a special mandate that they need to preserve the health of the people. Now, peculiar structure of US is this: a person will take an insurance policy, that insurance policy will be covering all the health requirement. At the same time, the investment into the public health care or public health infrastructure has not been that much substantial, and because of this particular thing, the problem is there into the USA's health system. For example, even you need to pay the premium for the insurance, and many a times the premium is so high that it is causing the out of pocket expenditure. Secondly, because the reliance is only is over onto the reimbursement via the insurance, and obviously the service will be given by the private hospitals, there is very weak public health infrastructure into the US, and it is now realized into the US that the entire health setup has been overwhelmed. So USA having reliance onto the insurance, not developing the public healthcare infrastructure. The same thing is with India also. what we happened, we brought the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. We said that 50 crore people or 10.74 crore households are eligible, that is they can get a coverage up to 5 lakh rupees into the empaneled hospitals for the secondary care as well as for the tertiary care. What we have done, we have also provided a kind of an insurance. Now guys, a person will go to a private hospital. We had not focused on developing the own infrastructure into the public health care. What problem it will be bringing? First of all, the issue is this, that private sector is overly available into the major metropolitan cities or the big cities, and I told you that health has a component, that is the accessibility. Where the majority of India is living, they are living into the rural areas, tier 2, tier 3 cities. If they need some tertiary care or secondary care, they simply can't go on to every other day into a metropolitan city or a big city, because the living cost will increase, the traveling cost will increase, everything will become problematic. Moreover guys, as the Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan has allowed the empaneled private care centers, what we are doing, we are finding an excuse that we need to keep the private sector only into the loop. We are not bringing the public sector into the kind of a health development, and this particular thing can be costly into the times to come. Moreover guys, though Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan came, private healthcare facilities have been involved, but in India we don't have the regulatory robustness. For example, till now there is no Clinical Establishment Act. For example, I have a kind of I am empaneled under the Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan. I am going to the private hospital. What if they don't give me the quality care, or what if they deny me, or what if they even I am being a beneficiary, they charge money from me. So for that particular thing, the regulatory robustness have also not been there, and still the private sector has all kind of hegemony here. Moreover guys, now government is also bringing the National Data Health Management Registry, under which the health data of everybody will be put into a central server. Again, regulatory robustness has not been focused here, and there could be a possibility that again the sensitive medical information of the patient might be basically there could be implication onto their privacy. So guys, it has been said that right now India needs an institutional fix. We need to bring more focus onto the public health. Apart from Ayushman Bharat, okay, you allow them to take the facility into the private hospital, but also develop the public health infrastructure. Moreover, administration challenges are also needed to be solved. For example, I have told you that the Clinical Establishment Act is not there. After that, the legislative challenges are needed to be solved, executive challenges are needed to be solved. So this is all which has been provided into this particular article. So that's it, and now we'll move to next article. Now friends, this particular article talks about the need to enhance the tax base in India. Now see, if I give you some background, right now you know that the condition is such that economic growth will not be coming into this particular year, due to which the national income will be very much low. But at the same time, expenditure will be very high due to the health expenditure that are needed to be carried, and therefore as a result, the fiscal deficit will be increasing substantially. Now guys, fiscal deficit is something which is not desired. Now there are two ways to control the fiscal deficit. Way number one, you can simply cut down your expenditure. But that thing is not actually possible, because there are large number of expenditures which are committed expenditures. You can't cut down them. Then there are certain expenditure. Moreover, we also need to take care about the upcoming years, and into the upcoming years, to have a robust growth rate, we also need to have some kind of pretty expenditure. Now guys, this particular thing is there. So what is the other way? Other way is that we can enhance the tax so much that the expenditure automatically comes down and our fiscal deficit gets reduced. But to increase the tax, there are certain challenges, and now we'll see those challenges. Now it has been said that the challenge number one is that in India we have large number of tax filers, but effective taxpayers are very less. Now, tax filer is one. Suppose I am showing my income as 2.5 lakh rupees. I will file the income tax, but I will not pay any income tax because it is exempted income. So, in that particular direction, according to a analysis report of 2012 and 13, which was released in 2016, it was said that in India we have just 16 million taxpayers, which is very low given the level of Indian economy, the needs that it needs to cater. Moreover, it has also been said that if we consider the direct tax to GDP ratio, then it is just 5.5%. Now guys, see, according to a large number of surveys, it has been said that rich people are actually not coming into the tax net. Now the person who is earning 5 lakh rupees is earning a decent amount, but what happens, our income tax slab is such that till 5 lakh you don't need to pay any tax. So deliberately by government's action, a large number of people are not into the tax base. After that, according to a report of 2016, it has been said that top 10% people of India are earning 55% of national income. And if all these people, if the adequate tax is collected from all these people, then our tax to direct tax to GDP ratio will increase to 18%. But see, top 10% people are not paying enough of the taxes. Moreover guys, even it has been said that government brought radical reforms. For example, it brought the demonetization and said that all the black money will be converted into the white and our tax base will enhance. But that demonetization has failed miserably. After that, special investigation team was established to bring the black money. That had also failed. So there are large number of reforms which has failed, and guys, government needs some out of the box measures as how they can enhance the tax base. And one out of the box measure they have taken recently, that is a new system which has been established, which works on to the faceless appeal and the faceless scrutiny. Now see what happens, many times people are simply not telling their true income even if they are earning. Why? Because they feel that the tax department will be coming behind them, will be harassing them unnecessarily, and will be actually be wasting a lot of their time, will be giving them unnecessary kind of tensions. Moreover, this particular thing has happened also, and because of this particular thing, it has often said that India is committing a kind of a tax terrorism. Even when Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, he went to France, at that point of time it was said by the France that India should not go into the tax terrorism. So our tax enforcement has become very much stringent also. Now, into this new faceless appeal system, what will happen? All the people who are filing their income tax, their file will not be scrutinized by an actual human. They will be scrutinized by a computerized program. And if a person is found to be in certain violation, he will not to submit into the physical form. There will be the faceless appeal, faceless scrutiny. So what this particular thing will bring? This will bring the ease of tax paying. People will feel more confident into the system, and deliberately they will pay greater taxes, large number of taxes. Moreover, many a times what happens, there happens to be a nexus between the rich people as well as the tax authorities. Now as the human element will be withdrawn, that nexus will be broken, and the people who are misusing their channels into the tax department, they will also not be able to take that advantage. After that guys, it has been said that entire tax department is being reorganized to bring the greater efficiency, because many times we are simply not able to harvest the tax proceeds because of the inefficiency. Now if I just give you one example, there are just some thousands of tax officers and there are lakhs and lakhs of income tax returns which are coming. If a CA engineers a kind of a loophole into a tax return, he might have prepared months for that particular thing, and one tax officer just into a matter of few minutes or few hours, he can't find out that discrepancy. So for that particular thing, now it has been said that under the new reforms, artificial intelligence and big data analytics will also be utilized, so that the kind of discrepancies which were earlier there, those discrepancies can be identified. So guys, this particular thing is expected that will enhance the tax base and much larger benefits will be coming to India. Now, whenever such kind of question comes, you can quote a French economist, Thomas Piketty. Thomas Piketty says that India is a country which taxes less in comparison of the size of the economy or the base of the economy. So you can quote the Thomas Piketty also in such kind of questions. So that's it. And now we'll move to the next. Now guys, this particular article pertains to the issue of Palestine-Israel, which is going on because of the recently signed deal between the Israel and UAE. Now guys, this particular article is having the kind of a substance which is also not usable for your UPSC exam. But two articles are there. One I have taken on 16th of August at this particular timestamp, where I had explained the entire Israel-UAE deal from the historical background, and after that how the Palestine is being sidelined, that also I have explained on 20th of August at this particular timestamp. Guys, if you have missed this particular topic, please do watch it from here. This particular article will not make any sense if you don't have any background. So rather than this, please take a look on these things. So that's it. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, there are large number of reforms that are being taken into the defense sector. Government announced with the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, and it has taken, for example, number one, it was said that the FDI into the defense sector, which was earlier maximum capped at 49%, it is being enhanced at 74%. After that, few days back, we had also seen that Ministry of Defense had issued a notification where it has been said that 101 items are restricted from import. They have to be made indigenously. Then guys, now into this particular news item, it has been said that a new notification has been released where it has been said that 108 military subsystems and components, they have to be compulsorily developed in our country. Indigenous development needs to be there, and the industries, if they are not able to make it, then DRDO will be giving the accessibility with respect to their design, their development, their testing. So what will happen? It will enhance the defense manufacturing base of India and will be helping in the Make in India initiative. Moreover guys, see, if I tell you that into the defense ecosystem, more than 1800 MSMEs are involved. So by this particular thing, a support to the MSMEs will also be given. Then guys, there are other PSUs, ordnance factories, all they will come together in a kind of an integrated single ecosystem where DRDO will provide them the technology, will provide them a kind of a technical know-how, and they will manufacture. And as restrictions have been laid on 101 items and now on to 108 items, it will provide a kind of an excellent opportunity also. So into such questions as a reference, you can provide this particular thing. So guys, just that's it here. Now we'll move to next. Now guys, a very important topic has been raised here, that is the DNA bill, which has just been flagged by the parliamentary panel. Now first of all, before going into this particular news, I will give you some background. See, there has been it has been said that to nab an offender who has committed some crime, we are still using ancient kind of techniques. Now, just by going for the DNA analysis, your forensics can become more streamlined. Now guys, there are more than 60 countries which have made legislations by which they can store a DNA record of all the criminals, and if any crime is committed, by finding some DNA specimens from there, they can match, if they match with their list of the suspected criminals, and from there they can nab the people who might have committed the crime. USA had made such kind of bill, had made such kind of an act, and in India we are also working on bringing the DNA profiling of the criminals for last 15 years, but there have been large number of challenges. Guys, even in 2012, one AP Shah committee was established which suggested that government first of all should bring the safeguards and then should bring the DNA profiling bill. However, all this was going on, and in 2018, DNA Technology Regulation Bill 2018 was introduced. However, the bill lapsed, and again in 2019 by the same name, that is the DNA Technology Regulation Bill, 2019 bill was introduced. Now, this particular bill is under consideration and has been referred to a parliamentary standing committee. So this parliamentary standing committee on science and tech has scrutinized the bill which has been raised for the DNA profiling and has raised certain concerns. There are majorly three concerns which they have raised. Concern number one, they have said that still we don't have the personal data protection bill, and in absence of that particular bill, there could be the misuse of the DNA profile that the government will be creating, or the DNA bank that will be government be making. So first of all, bring that personal data protection bill and then bring the DNA profiling bill. After that, it has been said that there are certain provisions into the bill where it has been said that if there is a crime scene and any DNA which have been found there, it will be stored into the database for perpetuity, for eternal, for unlimited time it will be stored here. But it has been said that suppose there was some DNA, it was of some innocent person, will you store that also? Clear? Because storing an innocent person's DNA doesn't make any sense. So that is a particular issue which happens to be there. And the third issue is that it has been said that into the DNA bank, even the DNA of the cases will be DNA of the people who are involved into the civil cases, their DNA will also be stored. So it has been asked that, for example, if a person is involved into the property dispute, what is the logic of storing his DNA? Moreover, DNA will be stored into a single index. No classification will be made with respect to the civil crimes as well as with respect to the criminal crimes. So in that particular thing, it has been said that such are the things which needs a more consideration. Is it clear? And right now it has been said that the DNA profiling bill is premature, or it is much scrutiny is needed to be given. Now guys, if I give you some little bit kind of factual information into the DNA profiling bill, by seeing the alignment of DNA bases, you can basically identify a person very precisely, and such DNA profiling can be utilized to nab a person who might have committed a crime, to trace the history, to trace the ancestral history of a particular person, and much needed such kind of things can be told. So this particular bill has such large implications, and therefore much brainstorming is needed on this particular thing. This particular issue has been raised. So guys, in that particular direction, a question could be asked into the GS paper number 2 as well as GS paper number 3. So please keep it in your mind. And now we'll move to the next news. Now guys, this particular news is important with respect to the prelims, because here Bonda tribes have been mentioned. However, news per se is not important, because some of these tribe members have infected with the present COVID-19. Now we'll see the tribes, because many times questions has been asked onto the tribes per se. Now these Bonda tribes, they are living into the Odisha, into the Malkangiri range. And these Bonda tribes, they are the scheduled tribes and have also been given the status of the particularly vulnerable tribal group. Now, what is these PVTGs? So guys, this PVTG, this distinction was originally created in 1973 by the Debar Commission. Debar Commission said that there needs to be a primitive tribal group. Who will be these primitive tribal group? Into the tribals also, there are certain tribals who are more backward. So those backward tribals needed to be identified separately. So this particular thing was said here. And on that particular recommendation, we adopted the PTGs, and it was renamed in 2006 as the PVTG. So the PVTG we are talking right now, it was renamed in 2006. Now guys, there into the course of time, we have identified large number of PVTGs. Today there are 75 PVTGs. 75 tribal groups are PVTGs. Most number of them are living into the Odisha. Odisha has the highest number of the PVTG groups. Fine guys. Now, what could be the criteria to identify the PVTG? So there are 4 criteria. Number 1, pre-agricultural level of technology. They are using very primitive kind of technology. A stagnant or declining population, extremely low literacy, and subsistence level of economy. So on these four parameters they could be given the protection, and Ministry of Tribal Affairs, it has been given a special mandate to work for their protection and their safeguard. So guys, with respect to the prelims, please keep these concepts into your mind. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now guys, into this particular article it has been said that the cess onto the tobacco needs to be enhanced. First of all, some basic concept for prelims. What is the difference between a tax and a cess? Now guys, tax is levied onto a gross value. Is it clear? Suppose a transaction is being made. For example, I bought a mobile phone. Is it clear? Now mobile phone's cost is 10,000 rupees. Clear? On this 10,000 rupees, a tax, for example GST at the rate of 18% will be levied. Clear? Now where the cess will come? Now onto this 10,000 rupees mobile, I am levying a tax of 1800 rupees. Now onto this 1800 rupees, if I want to levy some additional charge, then that charge will be called as cess. So cess is a tax on tax. So for example, on this 1800 I want to levy 10% cess, so additional 180 rupees. Now cess is not usually shared with the state government, it is the money which comes for the government. One thing. Secondly, cess has a specific purpose for which it will be levied. For example, Swachh Bharat cess, education cess. Tax is not specific to one purpose. Now guys, that we onto the tobacco products, a cess is levied. Fine. The money of this cess goes into the GST compensation fund, and from GST compensation fund that money is given if there is a shortfall into the revenues which are coming from the GST. Is it clear? So now it has been said that the cess amount onto the tobacco products should be increased. Why? See, if we see, then India has the second largest population of tobacco users. Nearly 260 million people are there, and 12 lakh people are dying every year. So it has been said that by enhancing such kind of cess, there will be win-win situation. Number one, revenue up to 50,000 crore rupees additionally can be raised from here, which government right now needs. Secondly, it has been said that it will force people to quit the tobacco products as they will become very much expensive. So it is a very good thing. It should be brought. Now, going forward from this particular news, now guys, who will take the decision into this particular direction? Who will take a call if it has to be increased or not? So that call will be taken by the GST Council. How the GST Council has been made? When 101 Constitutional Amendment Act was passed, which brought the GST, it brought a change into the Constitution and added Article 279A. So under Article 279A, actually GST Council is appointed. Is it clear? So that's all about such kind of things. Guys, much of prelims related new information has also been there. Please keep all this thing into your mind. So that's it guys, and now let's take the question section. Now friends, please pause the video and try to answer the question. So question number 1 is with respect to the National Recruitment Agency. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. Now question number 2 is with respect to the conservation of migratory species of wild animals. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. Question number 3 is with respect to the tropical cyclones. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. Now friends, question number 4 is with respect to the Global Tiger Initiative. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. And now the main question for today. So this question is with respect to the DNA Technology Regulation Bill. It says that the bill which seeks to control the use of DNA technology for establishing the identity of a person also revives the fear of Aadhaar linked data breach examen. So guys, this question pertains to the GS paper number 2 and it is a 15 marker question. Please try to provide the dimensions in this particular respect. So that's it friends. I hope you have